Greetings in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Blessed be the Lord our God forever and ever, who numbered the stars and called them each by name. Praise the Lord. Praise God. I bless you. May God bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you. And I am here in Blender with all my Blender buddies. And I love them all. So I've got my little Ellie here. I want to talk about him. I'm so in love with him. I imported him from Cinema 40. Been moving over to the platform of Blender for the past 3 years. But I'm still brainwashed by Cinema 4D. Anyway, so my niece's birthday is coming. And I'm so excited because she was born on Halloween. Harvest time. And so little Mr. Chocolatey, what did I just do to him? Oh, I'm so tired because I've been trying to finish a bunch of Blender classes and a bunch of work. So, but here we are. We're in the solid shader. And I'm coming over here. And oh yes, I've been learning how to work with the procedural materials. And I was thinking of putting let's bring back the scene. Holding my cursor over the viewport window. Viewport, let's see here. And things happen when you hold your cursor over the viewport, when you over the window that you're working in. This is the 3D viewport right here. This little icon tells us the grid and the ball. And I'm hitting the /3 to bring back my scene and all my other objects. And I did a test yesterday. I have seams in my elephant. So what I discovered was, let's see, do I have enough light in here? Oh, I'm so tired I can hardly see. Let's see here. I guess I do have enough light. I'm switching in the shaders over here. And okay, so I am so tired. I'm waking up. I'm trying to stay focused. I want to goof off, but I almost have this finished. But one of the things I wanted to go over was when we tab into edit mode, I'm in edit mode. Hello, good morning. I've been working on laying out my UV polys all perfect. So when I come over here and I hold my mouse over my let's see, UV islands, that's what they're called. Oops. And these are little UV islands where the little faces are. And I click L, it selects. But notice I'm not in faces mode, and it's selecting the sides and of the vertices. But if I switch to the faces, I gotta hold my cursor down here in the window. Then I can hit the 3 on the keyboard. This is 1, 2, and 3 up here, the different modes. And if you don't have this little guy selected, you're not going to see anything over here. You can have stuff selected and you'll see what's selected, but you won't see all the polygons or all of the faces on the character. So be sure to click that little guy on, those little 2 arrows, UV sync selection. It syncs you with the 3D. It syncs you up from the UV editor over here to the 3D viewport. So what I discovered yesterday while working was if I want to select something, and I'm gonna turn the radius down here a bit on my little paintbrushy. Oops. Oh, what am I on? I'm on the hand, the grab tool. Edit and do that, or Alt Z on the keyboard. So get back up here on the select circle, top. So if I hold my cursor over one of these little UV face islands and I click L, it will select a section. But notice I have seams on. See the little red lines? Kind of hard to see that. I better go to over here to solid mode. So see how there's lines. There's a red line around his ear. And I can turn off. I've got a subdivision modifier on it which subdivides all of the faces. And I have it set at 2. There's 1. Now it's off. 0. And now, because that's on there, and I deselect all this, Alt A, and I hold either my cursor in the 3D viewport, I'm scrolling at the top here, in the 3D viewport, or I move over here and I hold my cursor over the UV editor, and that's the 3D viewport. Where is it? Oh, there it is, right there at the top. Okay. So I can select, and I didn't know that. I thought I could only select in the UV editor. So I go L, and that selects it. But I can hold it over this, hold my cursor there, just click L, and it'll select that section. But while I was working and I was trying to get all these faces, these polygon faces, worked on, I was like, wait, this works. And I wanted to do a test to see if I'm getting on the edge tool. So you can see me click, shift, click, and I'll get on my little select circle. And so I thought, well, maybe I can delete all of these bullets. So once I got the islands laid out, I thought, oh, maybe I can just delete my these seams over here. So I did a test, thinking, oh, I could delete them now, but I couldn't. It didn't work. I deleted them, and then it would. Let's see, shift. There we go. So once I deleted the crease here, I'm going to do it again to show you. So if I go up here to edge, and then you can see I can either add the seam, mark seam, or clear seam. Now this is really cool because it helps when we lay out these sections so that we can paint on this. and make a nice fancy fabric material by painting. But when I deleted it and I said edge, clear seam, so I'm changing the mode, the extending selection mode, because now I can click and they'll erase, but if I'm on here and then I click around, they don't erase, they stay on. So clicking back here, so now watch, if I hold my cursor over and then I hit L, the whole character was selecting. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. I got to leave the seam on here till I finish. So I undo this, edit, undo, Alt-C. And now that the seam is, I got to go one more. Now that the seam is gone, I can hold my cursor over and I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? I was selecting things and the seam's back. And I was all having a panic attack. And then I was like, oh, okay. When I'm in edge mode, and the edge mode is basically these lines, these are the edges of the faces, the polygon faces. These are polygons. It doesn't say that, but that's what they are. And Cinema 4D, we call them polygons, but in Blender, they're faces. And so what I realized was, okay, I put the seam back, and I was like holding my cursor over to select a section. And it was selecting everything, and then I hold it over here, and it just selected a part. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I got on to the faces selector. And then I was able to select sections. I was like so tired. It took me forever to figure that out. I was like, oh, I get it. And then, so I put the seam around areas. Just think of a piece of fabric, and where you have the lines, that's where it's going to lay out. So if we wanted to do just his head, and we zoomed in here, I'll do File, Save, File, and then I'll save a copy, an incremental copy. So if I make a mess and break this file, then I have a backup. Woohoo! So if I come over here and I'm on this little guy and I have the side of his head chosen, I can then come up to UV and say Unwrap. And notice just his head got unwrapped. So I can hit Control I to select invert, the invert selection, and then I hit H to hide that so that you can see that. And then what's cool is R rotate, move G, or you can use the bar. So that was so cool. I was like, okay, so I've been practicing in here how to lay out the character's skin. So we're painting for our game design. We're doing characters and models that have materials as well as other kinds of, procedural generated texture coverings. But so we can come up here and scroll down and say new and make a new image and just call it Ellie head. Ellie face. And bump this up to 2048 by 2048. And let's pick, I don't know, let's just. Terry, can you go with this a normal animal color like gray? I love gray. But no, I can't, so let's just go blue. Or this is just going to be the background of the image. So let's just put a green, nice. Let's see this color. How about this? Okay, and this will be the color of the material. So then click new image. And now we have a material there. And we won't see it because we have all of these. If we come over here and we go down to materials, we have all of these. We have all of these materials on here. But we can put the new one on. Let's just make a new one, I think. So we have made the texture. Now we have to make this material ball over here. The material properties. And we basically imagine this image is wrapped around this ball and there's a picture that shows you. So I'll click plus to add a new material slot. And there it is. And you have to click new. And then we can say image material, image jelly face. And then I can say assign. There we go. Click. Assign. Now we can see a preview of the material here. If we twirl this down and come down even a little further, and it's not showing over here, and it just kind of comes in as a standard color. And then as soon as you add like, you have to click, and in base color you have to click this little yellowy green, kind of limey or very yellow, and then come over to texture where it says texture, and here's the image texture. And all of these, a bunch of these others are all procedural. But this is the kind that you can paint on with, drawing. It's like a ping or whatever, image texture. So now we have that and it turns black. And basically it's just a holder still. It's just a placeholder for what you're going to put on top of it. But it's ready now. It's like image ready. So now we can either make a new one, but we already did. Over here in the UV editor, we made one. You can always do one here, or you can click open and just add any image that you like. So, but we're gonna put this one on, and see this little box right here at the end of these. Right here next to new and open, these little text boxes that popped in here after we added the image texture. We click here, a little mountain and a little sun. And here, right here's Ellie face. Here's the image, the ping we made. I think it's a ping file. I forget to look at it. Let's see. So anyway, that's on there now. So now that we have added this image, we created a new image and we put it on a material ball over here. See, there's these little guys are kind of showing us, giving you an idea of how it's going to look. And here's the blender one. I like that too. And then we have a little bit of a few editing tools right here. So you can change the coloring a little bit, metallic. I'll do that in a bit, but you can kind of see it here, but I've got this blown up. So now that we have the material, we can paint this guy. And I can come down here also, and which I should have done since I was messing up my UV layout. I can go to Data, Properties, UV Maps, and I can make the different ones. You know, since I made the change, I should have done this first. And then you hit plus. So I'm just going to name it now Face Map. Face UV Map. UV Map. But I made a copy, so I remembered that. So I file saved it and made a copy. So I could go back. So now we have a map. But this is really cool. But one of the things I learned is you have to kind of remember to click on this little guy. Because you can select these other UV maps. You can make as many as you want. It's really cool. And so you can resize and move them around any way you want, whatever works. And then make UV maps. So I can select this and stretch it and do whatever. And then fit it in that space or whatever, and then click the new one. Stretched it. So this is really cool. I love this. And then I can just go back and forth. So now that I have a material on here, this is what I'm showing you. These selections really matter. You just basically if you need a selection on your character, say you want to paint the eyebrows or something right here, you can select these two pulleys and you can say, if you want to move them, and I'll show you how that works, how the UVs move over your material. But okay, so let's fill his head first and paint it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my cursor over either over in the UV editor window or over here in the 3D viewport window. Hold my cursor there and hit L on my keyboard, and it will select it. So now that my head is selected, I can come up here to the modes, the editing modes, more editing modes. And we have texture paint down here. And I can click texture paint. Now we're in the texture paint mode. And I'm going to click down here to the fill tool. And this will fill it. And what I want to make sure is that I check this little box right here next to texture paint if I'm going to fill. Because if I don't, it'll fill the entire elephant. So I can just hit Alt H. Let's see. I'm on this now though. I gotta be back in the other, but I'm gonna fill it. So let's pick a color to paint this guy. We can come down here and paint him yellow, sunflower yellow. This kind of orangey color that I love. Oh, we could just pick gray, but we'll do, I don't know, let's do, what color should we go with? You could pick lavender. Okay, let's do lavender. No, let's do orange. Because this whole little movie that I'm working on, this animation, is for harvest time, so. And my niece's birthday. So now that I'm on this, and if I click and I do, it's going to fill. But notice if I hit Alt H, let's see, might have to go back to edit mode, and I hit Alt H to unhide everything. And I go back to texture paint. Oh, only his face. It must have been because they were hidden. But normally, see, when they're unhidden, if I click this to fill, let's see, why is it not filling? I'm clicking. Oh, let's see, edit mode. I think I have to, no, because, oh, I remember now. Okay, I'm forgetting. So back at texture point, when I fill, if you can, funny, what's going on here? Do I have my overlays off? Lord, I pray you'd help me remember. So I'm always praying for God to give me peace and patience. It is really hard, and it's a lot of learning, lots of steps. So the Holy Spirit helps me. So maybe sometimes if we come over here and I come up to the very top, scroll, go to the tools settings, sometimes I find that if I'm on gradient, color, it doesn't work. Okay, so I think that I'm running into some issues that I don't know about yet because I haven't done a whole lot of, or I've got a whole bunch of, I've been learning and practicing these other materials. They are all of these procedurally generated materials, and then I keep wanting to say selection sets, but they're like that, because that's what they are in Cinema 40. So basically, if we come back here to, well, we're still in texture mode, or edit mode. If you, maybe because the area of my elephant has, I don't know what they're called, selection sets. I call them that. But I have selected these areas where you click a section and then you add a material like so, and you say assign. So it could be that. It could be that's why I'm not seeing what I was expecting there. So, but I'll show you that if you go to in texture mode here, I'm now on up here in the tools. I'm on the gradient. So you have gradient and color, and it's gonna it's going to roll out different depending on what what colors you have. So I have black and white on here. Now this is the color, the solid one. And you just click to fill it. And so I was trying to say that this up here, the paint mask. If you don't have the paint mask on, usually the fill tool will fill the entire image. You turn this on, then you click it, it will only fill the selections that we made here in edit mode, which was the head. But I must have been, I don't know what my head was thinking. I might have been off about something, but I think it is because I've got all these procedure materials set on other areas selections. So there's that. So in edit mode, you pre-select your little section that you want. Then you go to texture paint, and then you can fill it. And you can switch these two colors around by holding the X. And then you can just fill it with that and switch it with the X. But you have to hold the cursor in the viewport window or it won't work. I keep trying to hold my cursor right on it. That's funny. And then I'm like, why doesn't this work? So there we go. And then if we come over here to the tools, we can come down here and choose gradient. And then we could just do like orange and black together. And then when you're on to this paint bucket fill tool, then you can click in different areas and kind of pull it and see what you come up with. And then you have a gradient color. And it's really cool. You can add more slots of gradient by clicking the plus. So this could be like, pink. And then we can paint this section. Oops. Where's the orange? There it is. So we could do something like this. So there we go. That's funny. I love doing this. Okay, I could be in here forever. Okay, so I'm going to get back up here to texture paint and go back into the edit mode. And I'm going to select Control I, and I'll do what I get again, and I'll hide these. And I inverted the selection sets. I'll hit H now to hide. And then we can play around with this. So now that I have these guys painted, you can see they got painted to this material over here. Yay! That was fun. Okay, so boy, I'm telling you, you go along and you think you've learned something, you think you've got something down, you start to do something new, and all of a sudden things change. So, okay, so what I'm saying now is just showing you real quick here, well, kind of quick, how to paint on a material this way. And so now that the character's painted, we're in edit mode, we can go back and forth and we can hit those polygons like I showed you. And then we could do something if we wanted to. If we painted something over here on this material, maybe, or edited it somewhere. And we wanted this section. So let's see, I can go back to texture paint mode. And now I'm going to get off of the fill tool. Get on the draw tool. Let's see, do I have my... Oh, I still have my stamp on. So I'll show you with the stamp how I could draw something on the side of the character's head or something. But let's say, okay, I'll just do this real quick. Because this is set up, this is so cool. Let's see, is that painting? E on there. Let's do a test. No, it's not. Why is it not? Oh, because I have to turn the, I forgot and I left the paint mask on up here. So I have to turn paint mask off. And I could bring in a different image, but I'm falling asleep over here. Okay, so let's just make that, whoops. Let's just put it right there for now. Okay, so now keep in mind I'm on white. If I was on another color, like let's just switch this by clicking X and holding the mouse over the 3D viewport window and hit X, that's switch. So look, if I was not in the white, I wouldn't get my image that I brought in very well. I would just get this darker color. So that was a big old thing. So learning to do that, but one of the programmers over here knew exactly what was going on. So switching it back to white to get the paint on it, the painting that I brought in, the image. Now I can just paint it on a sticker stamp. Yay, chocolate orange, yeah. That's so cool. Okay. And that's on there. It's kind of painted funky, but that's okay. Because I didn't have it on a flat surface, but you get the point. Just like there. So then we can see it on the material over here. So if we wanted to paint, like if we had exported this image out to another art app to paint on it, then, and I can turn this stamp off. I think it's called I think it's another mask. So over here in the tool properties, come down here and I brought it in to, I think, texture, yeah. And the way to bring it in is you definitely go out of this tool mode and you go down here to the textures. And you have to bring your textures in down here. So there's the preview. So if this is all out of here, usually you'll see something like this. And then you have to go to your website. And then once you do bring it in, so if you have to go into you click on that, you click new, you got to bring your graphics and your images, your picture images in here, and open them up. So we could bring something in like this. Let's see, how about So you can bring them in and they pop in. Then once they're in, you have to go popping back up. You can see them in this little box here. So here are the images that I brought in. So it gets tricky because you bring them in down here into the texture property window, but then you pop way back all the way up here. This is in texture paint to the tool menu. And then you have a brush, a default brush for that section. And then you come down here and then you've got, you can go in here. I think usually there's nothing there. You'd have, like, this would be closed. And then you probably see something like this. Once you twirl this little baby texture open. And then you click on this, that little white crazy thing, and then you usually see it. And then now keep in mind also, this was another area that I ran into that just was like, so frustrating, was that when I come back down, I'm in Tool Editor. I'll click that and come all the way back down here to the Texture Editor. If you have to prepare your image so it's square, this one's a little, let's see, 28 by 32. It's almost square. It's going to be off if not. And then you got to fiddle around with the mapping and it's crazy. So set your image basically to square, as square as you can, and then it's going to come in, and you don't have to try to use this to make it so it's the proper size. And so let's go back up here now to the editor. So you just have to practice with this. And then we can minimize the brushes. And we're in color, like I was saying. And now you can see over here that I brought this image in. I have the stencil under the texture. I've stenciled selected. So that puts your image right in that left corner. And it's also over here. It could be right over here if you come up to your UV editor here, type, and you switch to image editor. And then there it is. So within the UV viewport, you'll be in it and you'll be like, oh, I can't paint in here. And then you find out, oh, yes, I can. I can just go to image editor. So it's similar to the UV editor, but they're separate. But in the image editor now, we can blow this up. I'll show you what I was going to show you. We can blow this up and we'll paint it on the... And keep in mind I'm on white. I'm on a light color. So it paints the color. If you want it to be a different color, you can play with that. But if you want it to be the color that it was. Okay, so now my little thingy's painted there. And when you pull your mouse off of there. So there we go. Woohoo. So now I'm going to click this to turn it off. It'll still be there, but it's kind of funky the way you turn it off. So you go back up here to the tool, and then you're in this texture stencil mode, and you just click this off. And you want to get it back, you click on the checkers, and then there are your imported textures from way down here in the texture properties. So that's tricky, but that's cool. Once you play with this and you fiddle around and practice and get exhausted like I am right now, then you figure it out. So, and then you can paint your images over here, and then this is really cool. What I'm getting to is then, okay, so then if you want to come in here and then go back out of texture paint mode to edit mode, we can select, above the eye and the eyebrow here, and I can just see here it is selected here. And then I can say UV, let's get to the UV menu, UV Unwrap. And then it kind of really unwrapped over here, like humongous. But this is what I'm getting to is we got to go back out of image editor to 3D viewport. No, not the 3D viewport. The UV editor. Now I can grab my tool there and resize it. Hit the S on here. Let's see, why am I not doing this? Oh, UV editor. And I gotta get up on this select circle. And I also have to get into, looks like over here, the faces. There we go. I can just select it. And I'm in edit mode. It should select. Oh, that's right. Let's see. I see what the issue is. See, we don't have the sync turned on. So now it's selected. And you gotta turn that on. And then we can scale it down. We can zoom in here. And then with the scale tool, we can scale it down. Move it up. Put it on this character here. Sideways, but let's turn it. Get on that rotate tool. Turn it, we can see. There. So you just can put your polygons in different places. And, okay. Now we can see that we need to move it a little bit bigger. Yes. And scale it up a bit. If I hold my mouse over this white circle, it's going to get bigger. There we go. And then deselect it. Notice it's green, and that's there. So wherever we have these UVs, so this is one way of painting on your object. So I can turn these off, and then now we have been painting the head, and we could erase this by, can't really erase. But what we can do is paint over. So we can go back to texture paint mode. Click on the white and come down and get this little eyedropper. Pick the pink. And then I'm on the scale tool and I want to be on the... Wait a minute. I got to go back to... I'm in the UV editor. I got to go back to the image editor. And now, there, I can paint this. And to size the brush, we hold F on the keyboard. Or we come up over here, back into the 3D space while we're in texture paint mode. And scroll, and then we have the radius here. So there we have it. And we can just, again, go back to the color, grab the eyedropper, pick the shade color, and then we can fix that or whatever. We can use a blend, but here's the blender over here, the smear tool. The smeared or whatever. Hey, what's this? That's fun. Anyway, so you can get all crazy and obsessed and do all kinds of cool stuff. In here, you can export, you can go image. You definitely see the little star tells us that our image is not saved. So you definitely have to click Save As and save it. And then now it's saved. Now you can import it into your other favorite art app. Paint on it because you kind of know where your UVs are. And you get your pen tool, which I'm doing right now. And this does get a little bit slowed down. But I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to do this cool thing here. Look at that. And that kind of gets pushed out. But there we have it. Bring that in there. Hey, we're hippie hair. And so all got look at that little tiny little, that's my little niece. That's one of our family game characters we're working on. And then that is like, we've got it green, but we can just paint over it, smear over it. Oh yes, you can definitely paint in the 3D viewport window with all this stuff too. Whatever works. And then that looks funny like that. Now elephant has an icon. So, and then it's kind of shimmery and shiny. So one of the things we can do is just come over here to the 3D viewport and then back over to the properties, editor window, properties, see properties. This is the little icon for properties. And we can come down here to the material itself. And that's not the material. This one is. There's our material that we made. It looks all cool on there. And then we can come down and there's a little bit of settings down here. And this will take the shine or whatever you don't want on it. There, we can play with these. I love little people. So cute. And then there's the brightness. So that's cool. Turn that down. We can make it metallic, all none, or turn the roughness on and it kind of makes it a soft color. There we go. Alright, so that's going over my favorite. I'm actually starting to get into these just yesterday and today, into painting my character here with what is it? Let's get Control H. Or I'll hit the / key and see if that does it. Oh, I'm in texture paint mode. I gotta go back to edit mode. And that's that. And then I could just hit Alt H. And now I've shown you how to paint. So that's pretty clever, even though I'm not matching at all. Woohoo! I've got see image, save as. So we have a ping, and you should check this since I created the image and I forgot to save it. We created the image in here. Then we saved it. You're going to check over here what file format you want. Ping is transparent. TIFF is also going to be able to be transparent. So that's great. So now what we're seeing is really, it's just like me to make a big mismatch of colors, but I'm working on it. These are procedurally generated materials on here. And then what we have over here are procedurally generated. And here they all are. So, I'm falling asleep here. So, okay, gamers, I'm going to go back to object mode, and I am going to save this now. My colors changed a little bit, but we just duplicate the model, and we'll make 2 of them, so I could just select it in object mode, hitting on the selection, and hit Control D, and then we have a copy, and then I can start painting. We have a parent and a child. There we go. So we have the parent and the child. I'm going to set that